MVP level Joel Embiid to win this series?
Do you need the MVP?
I'm just reading.
Fact, you need the MVP. He hasn't even gotten the trophy yet. I think they might need him the night he actually gets the trophy. And I actually think that it was
Is this
smart.
a new one too, Wendy?
It was smart to play him in Game 2, even though they lost to get off the rust. I think you will see a different, more aggressive Joel Embiid.
The Celtics have been a big problem for Embiid during his postseason career, including that Game 2. He's just 1 of 9 versus the Boston in the playoffs. Embiid has put up good numbers, averaging 25 and 12, but coming off injury in Game 2, he had just 15 points and 3 rebounds. So, Wendy, you'll actually be there in Philadelphia tonight when Joel Embiid receives his MVP trophy. So I'd like you to expand a little bit on your previous point. What exactly do they need from Embiid tonight to win this game?
I know that there's a perception around this team that maybe it should be Harden because Harden scored 45 in Game 1, that they should play through Harden because Embiid is limited a little bit. They are not going to win this series. They are not going to do anything in this postseason if they don't do what got them there, and that is ride the big fella. They played through the big fella in the high post. They use Harden as a leveraging point. They use Harden as a relief valve. The ball has got to go to Joel Embiid where he is dominated. He crushed the Celtics during the regular season. He averaged 37 and 12. They do not have a good matchup for him. They do have a good matchup for James Harden. They discovered that in Game 2. They put Jaylen Brown on him. They pressured him full court. The concept that everything was A-OK and the difference between Game 1 and Game 2 was that Embiid came back and gummed up the works. I'm sorry, that's not what happened. What happened was they put the ball pressure on. They don't have an answer for a great Joel Embiid. I don't think he's going to be rusty, and that will be incredibly great in charged environment tonight when Adam Silver hands him that award. And I suspect he will show his MVP form, at least for tonight.
You say they don't have an answer for him, but CJ, they did do something defensively against him in Game 2 that you liked. What was it?
I like the way they loaded up. They loaded up against him, right? Didn't allow him to catch it at the elbow where he's been killer all season long with his ability to face up and jab and dribble and shoot fadeaways. And the thing that I liked most about what the Celtics did is they got out and ran and generated three-point shots. I thought Embiid was a little passive. I didn't think he was as aggressive as he needed to be, but that was because he hadn't played in a couple weeks and he didn't want to mess up the team's flow. Tonight, he gets his trophy, he gets back to being himself, and I expect him to be very, very aggressive, and I expect him to take advantage of playing at home in Philly.
You know, look, I know I'm the football guy, right? But I'm watching as a fan. I know he's getting his MVP trophy tonight. Have not been great support for Embiid as MVP. They won without him, and they lost with him.
Jeez,
so you tell me, like, what is it about Embiid that it will help them beat the Celtics?
His presence. I mean, this dude is a defensive juggernaut. He's an offensive powerhouse. It's funny you mentioned the free throw line in particular. I had Game 1 of the series versus the Nets, and very clearly Jacques Vaughn talked about how tough it is to double team him from the free throw line because he's able to pass, right? He's a willing facilitator as well. There's just no matchup on this Celtics roster for the combination of strength, size, and playmaking ability that Joel Embiid has, like point blank period. Now look, I do think that there is a version of James Harden that takes an uptick slightly from what we saw in the regular season and looks a little bit more like what we saw from Game 1 that will benefit the Sixers, but overall, that's just guys being aggressive point-blank period over the course of a series and making the defense have to deal with their decisions as opposed to allowing the defense to dictate what they have. But this dude is the MVP for a reason. Like, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Harden. Look, in Game 1, they got everything they could have possibly wanted out of him. 45 points and shot over 50% from the field and from 3, but that was without Embiid in the lineup. When Embiid came back for Game 2, Harden scored just 12 points on 2 of 14 from the field. So what does Harden, I mean, we all know what Joel Embiid has to be. He has to be the MVP. What does Harden have to be for them?
He's got to be aggressive. And listen, after that Game 1, I thought James was almost clairvoyant, right? That might be a little bit of a strong word, but it came to mind. He talked about how he has to balance facilitating versus scoring. But he also said, this is something that I've done in the course of my career for a long time. It's kind of what he echoed to Ali after the Game 1 performance, right? Like, I work on that shot all the time. And so, to me, James doesn't get the credit that he deserves in terms of being able to share that dual role, right? As a facilitator and as a scorer. But over the course of these playoffs, I think if he is aggressive, that only helps Joel Embiid, right? Jaylen Brown is one of the Celtics' best defenders. If he's got guys on their heels and is able to attack, particularly if they decide to take advantage of any type of transition, like, that helps Joel Embiid ultimately. If he's shooting the 3-ball well, that creates spacing. And so James also has to understand, and I think he does, that he has the ability to score, and that is something that the Sixers need from him as well.
CJ, what are you looking for from Harden the rest of the way here?
I think he's definitely going to turn up. I think in game 2 he was kind of filling it out, similar to the other series that we watched last night. They got game 1 without Embiid. They're going home. Embiid's getting his trophy. He should get powers associated with getting his trophy from a mental confidence standpoint. You hold the trophy as MVP of the league. Harden, who's already won it, he's already hit big shots. He's already scored before. He knows what to do. He understands that he has to be more aggressive, and that's not just shooting. He's got to get downhill. He's got to put pressure on the rim. And one of the things that is very important about the fact that Jaylen Brown is guarding him is that if Harden attacks him, that's going to affect and impact his offense. And we've seen how good they are, even when Jason Tatum doesn't play well, but that's because Jaylen Brown historically plays well.
Yeah, look, in game 1, it wasn't just that Harden was great. The strategy employed by the Celtics burned them. They basically allowed Al Horford to single cover. There would be a screen, they would switch and put Al Horford on Harden. They were like, Harden couldn't get by anybody in the first round. Harden couldn't make a shot in the rim. We'll just put Horford on him. Well, he cooked Horford. So guess what happened in game 2? They didn't allow Al Horford on him in single coverage. So now, tonight, they'll be ready when they bring double coverage for Harden to make different plays. And a lot of times that's going to go to Embiid. To me, I think it's just like the Warriors-Lakers series. I think the 76ers win tonight, and whoever wins game 4 probably wins the series.
Wendy will be on scene in Philadelphia tonight for that big game 3 between the Celtics and the Sixers. We behold the greatness of Klay Thompson, ESPN Radio's Mike Cousins on the call.
Into the hands of Wiggins, who pushes from right to left, finds Thompson in transition. Shot fake into an open 3, and it's good! Klay Thompson now has 25 points. Game's high scorer. He is an unconscionable 7 of 9 from 3, and Golden State is running away with it here in the third.
Klay had an unconscionable night from deep as the Warriors continue to attack the Lakers from behind the line. In this series, Golden State has attempted 95 threes, which is 47% of all their shots. They've made 21 threes in each of the first 2 games, and their 42 made threes in the series are the most in a 2-game span in franchise postseason history.
Shout out to Mike on that call, guys.
How about that? Unconscionable.
Love that.
Time for a game of fact or fiction. Monica, fact or fiction? Klay Thompson is the Lakers' biggest problem.
Fiction. This is cute, and Klay shot the ball tremendously well last night, but there's this guy on this team named Steph Curry, who is the beginning and the end of everything that the Warriors do. So good to see Klay back in rhythm, 8 of 11, unconscionable, to quote my cousins. But no, this is fiction. Easy.
CJ, fact or fiction? Kevin Durant must score 40 points for the Suns to win Game 3.
Fiction, although I wish he would take that many shots.
Oh, okay.
He historically is aggressive when he needs to be aggressive, but he plays the game the right way. I think he should shoot more hezzy threes. He should be more aggressive, and he will be, but the good thing about going home is that the role players generally play well. So I expect the role players to play extremely well tonight, and one of the 3 role players to step up big time.
Wendy, fact or
continues over the last couple of days. CJ, it was Anthony Davis who continues to be so up and down in these playoffs. Game 1, 30 points. Last night, just 11. What did you see from AD last night?
I think last night the sense of urgency wasn't there the same way it was in Game 1. Obviously, the Lakers went in and took care of business. Generally speaking, the road team wants to split and then go home and take care of home, and I think they did their job. But AD's got to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more assertive. But credit the Warriors for really taking advantage of certain matchups, really overloading on his pick and rolls. You know, a lot of help, a lot of bodies. Draymond Green was obviously guarding him a lot tonight as opposed to Kevin Looney. They made sure they kept one big out there, as you can see right here. He got some looks that he normally makes. But the problem was that he only took 11 shots. I think for them to win this series, he has to be extremely aggressive. He has to get up a lot more than 11 shots, and he has to get to the free throw line. I thought the Warriors did a tremendous job of keeping him off the free throw line, being aggressive, keeping hands on him, and most importantly, the key to that game was how much Steph Curry played in pick and roll. There was a lot of pick and rolls, which means AD's got to move those puppies. He's got to get out towards half court, and that takes away a lot of his energy, especially after playing 44 minutes in Game 1.
For Anthony Davis, we saw his production since Game 1 of the Memphis series, and he's up and down like a cryptocurrency chart. It's either 30 points or he's in the teens. And last night specifically, when Draymond was contesting him, you don't want to say he shut him down, but he certainly made life difficult. Now, Saturday's Game 3 shifts down to PCH, down to Los Angeles. How significant is Game 3 for the rest of the series, CJ?
The winner of Game 3, in my eyes, is going to win this series. I think there's